Hey everybody, Dustin DePirek here, columnist Ryan Karchi. We are at the Schottenstein Center, Value City Arena, whatever it is in Columbus. One thing, Hugh and I always like to shoot these because they've got like all the posters, or I don't even know what they are, just kind of murals or whatever from shows that played here and stuff like that.
Can't really see, that's Ray
Yeah,
Charles
and that's-
over my
yeah.
right shoulder.
This one's my favorite because you'll see Weezer right behind me. Also Green Day in the back.
Corner.
So-
other corner.
Back there. So, and yeah, Ray Charles is here, Elton John, some others. It's my favorite one. So anyway, we're shooting it there. So, but you don't really care about that. Today was bad for Indiana.
Was ugly.
Really, really, really bad. Came in to play Ohio State team that really was kind of out for blood, more or less, and got it. 80 to 63, just mowed them over in the first half, 35 to 14. Indiana was pretty much horrendous on offense, not much better on defense. 6 for 22 in the first half, and Lenzel Smith goes just absolutely crazy with 28 points, which is more than double what he's ever had before in a college game. So yeah, that was a mess. Thoughts?
It was just that first half. It was almost hard to watch. I mean, I forget who it was. I think Cody Zeller had 7 points of those 14, and Jordan Hulls was 1 of 4, and there was just no confidence. I mean, when you saw Jordan Hulls take the ball down the court, he would be stopped several feet in front of the key.
Yeah.
And Aaron Kraft was all over him. I mean, he induced him into a travel, which is very unusual for Jordan Hulls. He had 2 travels in that first half. He had 4 turnovers in the first half, which, if I'm not mistaken, is his career high and a half. And he
has to be.
he had 5 turnovers, which is tied for his career high. Tied also the Kentucky game, but he ended up with 11 points. But I think, and I said this in my column, that I think it's important that he really takes control of this team. I mean, he was kind of not the self-proclaimed, but Crean had kind of proclaimed he was the leader of this team.
With Verdell, but
with
both of them. Yeah, exactly.
But now what we've seen is he's kind of tailed off in the last few games, and this team has lost its swagger. I mean, that Minnesota game, it was down, and it played like it was down. They were down the entire game, and today, I mean, the game was over 4 or 5 minutes in. I mean,
they never really were in this game.
They didn't have a chance. So.
No, I mean, there's a legitimate legitimate story there in terms of Jordy sort of grabbing hold of this team. I think there are a few things that have been really hard for him. One, Ohio State makes for a rough matchup for him because Aaron Kraft is sort of a lot of the things he is, but faster and quicker and stronger.
And really good on defense.
Yeah, and outstanding on defense. I mean, Aaron Kraft can absolutely get in Jordan Hulls' head, and he just does a phenomenal job. That's really what Ohio State tonight. Basically, they just came and said, we're going to pressure the ball, and that's what they did. They kept them, like you said, from getting really the offense initiated anywhere near the 3-point line. They were just doing a lot of sort of running back and forth and just could not find a hole just to even get anything started whatsoever, and that really frustrated Hulls. He couldn't hit some makeable shots, and that just it does kind of snowball for him. I think that's one issue he's got.
They were up in their jock strap, which is what
Jared Sullinger pulled that one out.
Jared Sullinger said, Thad Matta said before the game. So, and I mean, there is no better way to say what they were than that.
They absolutely
definitely were.
Yeah, and that makes it tough when Hulls is doing with that situation. He's having a hard time just moving the ball and just getting any kind of rhythm. When he doesn't get a 3 early, it seems like it sort of hangs on him for a while. And things are tough for him defensively right now. They are attacking him. They're very much, opponents are very much attacking Hulls when they can. And this was very much the case in that sense. Indiana kind of adjusted to Ohio State in the first game. They put Hulls on Kraft. It was kind of hoping he was going to be able to do something. Didn't work. Kraft was driving all over him, so they had to sort of readjust. And they got lucky the last game because there was foul trouble, and they could put Oladipo on Kraft because Buford was out with foul trouble. This game, it didn't happen. They had to still use guys like Vic on Buford. Verdell on Kraft, and then they put Hulls on Smith. Well, Lenzel Smith just attacked. I mean, he attacked off the dribble and found some wide open threes, 4 for 5 from the field, was just outstanding. And basically, it was the one thing that you pray to God doesn't happen if you're Indiana. They've got 4 guys who are really amazing offensive weapons to begin with.
Will probably play in the NBA.
Good possibility. And then so you bank on maybe that you can leave the guy who averages 3.7 field goal attempts per game, 5.2 points, and what happens is he drops 28 on you. And Tom Crean said afterwards that if that happens, if they can rely on Lenzel Smith to score a good bit, they're going to win the national championship. I mean, that's exactly what he said. He says they will win the national championship if they play like that. If that's what happens,
and I don't disagree with that. I mean, they showed today they are what we have been saying they are. Even though they've lost games, I mean, this is possibly the most well-rounded team in the country, and they play. I know Mata said that they don't have experience, but they play like they have experience.
They have some. The guys that are back are battle tested because you get more than I mean, you were dealing with a tournament team that was number one almost all year last year. Now, whether or not, obviously, I think they were sort of obviously they're knocked out by Kentucky. I think in the Elite Eight, or was the Sweet 16? I think it was Elite Eight.
Elite Eight.
Regardless, I mean that was the team. We were even just talking about this today. That was a national championship team. Like things happen in the tournament, just random things happen. But that I don't know that I've seen a team that built for a national title lose. That just had all the pieces in a while like that. And so these guys, Deshaun Thomas, Aaron Kraft, Jared Solinger, they've been around a team that's won a lot, and you get a lot of different kind of experiences that way. It's not the same as being on a team that's not winning. You don't learn the same lessons. You learn different lessons. You learn what it's like to have a target on your back, and you get to be around guys like David Lighty and John Diebler. They took a lot from, and this is a powerful team, and it really kind of woke up since the Illinois loss, since the Indiana, the loss at Indiana, and it very much looks like a team that could definitely go on a roll. I mean, there is a lack of experience, and I would say I don't understand, especially with this group, and especially in a game like this, why Mata doesn't use his bench more. When they were up by 20, I mean, they could have rolled. I mean, there's some talented players on that bench, like Sam Thompson, J.D. Weatherspoon, Amir Williams, that I don't know why they get more playing time, but you don't really care about Ohio State that much. Back to Indiana, exactly. Like, how does Indiana get it back together?
Well, I think Indiana can actually learn something from Ohio State in the sense, like you said, this is a team that knows how to win. They know they are one of the best teams in the country. They know that they deserve to be where they are, and not necessarily saying that Indiana is questioning whether they deserve their ranking or whatnot. But when this team is down, they've lost that kind of swagger, and I think they can. This is a team that's used to losing. I mean, it's not even just that they haven't won; they're used to losing, and since they lost that Minnesota game, I think you can kind of see that, and I just think the confidence really needs a boost, and that's something maybe they can get that in the next two games. I know they're going to Nebraska, they're playing against Penn State. I mean, those are the two probably the two worst teams in the Big Ten.
Well, those are. I mean, they're in theory get healthy games, but obviously they got to go on the road for one of them, and to a place that obviously they've never been. It's going to be a very new situation, and they're going in wounded, and that's not an easy thing to do on the road. But I mean, it's obviously they got to hit shots. I mean, they got to get back and get just a feel of the ball going in the hoop again, because it hasn't in the last two games. And obviously something's got to get fixed with the defense. They've got to find a way to just deal with sort of the weaknesses they have. I mean, Jordan Hulls is getting attacked, and they've got to find a way to play off of that. I mean,
teams know that Teams knows he is the worst defender of the five, and that's
he's the guy that's not quite as quick. That if you go at their guy, you can get them that way. That's the way that you can get maybe easier buckets. I mean, they're going to try to exploit that, and they got to find a way to, one, obviously Hulls has to step up his individual defense, and they have to be ready for that fact and be able to help off and be kind of prepared for that. It seems like, because they've just really struggled like that, and yet the situation is you can't really go to the point where you're taking him off the floor for extended periods of time, because when they're clicking, it's usually because he's making shots, moving the ball well, and it's a tough situation for them to be in, that you have a guy that's so smart, that's so good offensively, that is a leader of this team when those things are working, and yet you have such a hard time. I mean, he wants to play good defense. It's just not that quick.
It's kind of an unfortunate situation where you kind of look at Indiana and you say that they're a year away from having a roster talented and capable enough to either replace Hulls with someone or have Hulls be replaced by someone who can play that defense. I mean, there's no one other, maybe Remy Abel, but he doesn't bring what Jordan Hulls does.
No, and that's the thing. Is like it's so hard to, in the same way that, I mean, he does so much for them offensively when he's clicking. I mean, he is maybe the best shooter in college basketball. maybe the best pure shooter in college basketball. Do you take a guy like that off the floor? I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. But
I think that makes it interesting for when Yogi Ferrell does come next year.
Yeah,
kind of
that's a whole
lineups
other
they're
heap
gonna
of
look
stuff.
at.
How exactly they're
For
going to deal
another
with
day.
that. There's so many questions, that far in the future, how they handle that much talent in the lineup in terms of guys that have already accomplished something and guys who are going to be new. It's going to be a great question. But the bigger question is, how does this team stop this slide right now? Because it can't go a lot further if they want to go where they want to go. So, all right, thanks, everybody.
Thanks.